Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the witnesses. I really feel good about today because I feel like I don't have to anymore ask about whether climate change is a fact. I mean, the President said it last week in the State of the Union message, and I'm just going to take it as a given that climate change is a fact. So we don't have to debate that. My question goes to Dr. Kraft. In your testimony, you cite an article from the Texas Tribune that's titled "Anti-Regulation Politics May Have Hurt Energy Industry." As I understand it, the EPA began requiring greenhouse gas permits about 3 years ago, but TCEQ refused to enact the rule, and EPA had to step in and begin issuing permits. Can you describe the current situation and how what can only be called heel-dragging by TCEQ has negatively impacted Texas businesses and jobs and created regulatory uncertainty?
Yes, thank you. So we've been very concerned, this is one of the points in my opening statement, about Texas' unwillingness to address the issue of greenhouse permits in our state. Like I said, we were the only state in the nation that did not work with EPA to ensure greenhouse gas permits. Essentially what happened is that once facilities, Texas penned some very aggressive language to EPA saying that they did not have any intention at all to change their rules to be able to issue greenhouse gas permits. And as a result, the deadline came, there was no permitting authority within the state, so facilities that needed those greenhouse gas permits could not get them. EPA stepped in and had a federal implementation plan so that those facilities could continue to operate. This is a situation where, had EPA not stepped in, businesses would not have had a permitting authority by which to obtain permits to operate in the state.
So Texas's refusal to actually issue the permits could have caused havoc within the industry sector had EPA not stepped in.
Well, exactly, and it did cause havoc within the business sector. It resulted in essentially a dual permitting authority situation in the state, whereby facilities had to go to EPA for their greenhouse gas permits, and then they had to go to the TCEQ for their air permits. When businesses realized that this was the implication, they recognized that it was a dual permitting authority. It was very onerous to do that. And the Texas Pipeline Association, which I think is mentioned in the article, they said that more than 50 planned projects since early 2011 have been significantly delayed by the Texas permitting process, putting 48,000 jobs at risk. What's happened is TCEQ has recognized that they need to be the permitting authority for greenhouse gases, and they are now in the process of trying to transition to be the to issue those permits instead of EPA. But you know, like I said, it's caused a dual permitting authority situation, and it's bad for business in Texas.
Thank you very much. I mean, you know, it really is clear to me. I mean, there are other states that actually went about the implementation because it's the law and the regulations. TCEQ decided not to do that and has wreaked havoc in the industry, perhaps cost jobs and cost to the industry because of a dual permitting process that actually is far more onerous. So I appreciate your sharing that. I have one other question for you, and it's actually related to just regulating. You know, we've heard in some of the testimony that companies shouldn't have to disclose the names of chemicals contained in fracking fluids, and a question around transparency. Can you just talk for a minute about what it means for example, the 300,000 people in Virginia who were left without usable water to drink, cook, or bathe in, and it's still a problem there just last month because of failure to disclose those chemicals and how dangerous that is to public health?
Sure. So we've been looking at the chemicals that are used in the hydraulic fracturing process, and I can tell you EPA is also looking at this issue for many of those compounds, and there are thousands of compounds that are used. They are not used in very high concentrations, but the fact is that we don't know a lot of information about the toxicity of those individual compounds. And so even though they might be used in small concentrations, there are issues with transportation of those compounds to the site, for instance. There are other factors which play a role in terms of in terms of risk and health. And so we are very interested in understanding that risk and toxicity of compounds that might be found in frac fluid compounds.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask Mr. Dierschke, you didn't mean to suggest that because EPA was requiring fences to be put around places of water contamination, that it would be better for Texas cattle to drink the contaminated water for the beef that we eat, right?
They've been doing it for centuries, so I suppose they'll survive. The cattle will drink the stream water.
Right, so you're okay with the cattle drinking the contaminated water and then us consuming the beef? You're okay with that?
As long as this science.
All right.
Science is.
Thank you.